Well, moving on, the CBN has further clarified its recent directive to lift foreign exchange restrictions on 43 items. The Apex Bank said reversing the policy, according to them, will not have any significant impact on the economy other than reducing the pressure on the black market demand while putting more pressure on the official window demand. The CBN said the way forward to deal with the current speculation is to put some items that have local capacity production under prohibition. However, analysts and experts are of different views. They believe this would further kill the local industry. But how true is this? Let's get talking and understand this. The Vice Chairman of Basic Metal Sector of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Lekan Adewoye, joins me via Zoom to continue this discussion. It's good to have you on the program. It's been a while. Good afternoon.
Thank you, my brother Tolu. Good afternoon to you.
Yes, in direct terms, I would like to start with your understanding of lifting this restriction. I'm thinking that if we are to build local capacity and we are opening up the market, please let me explain how this comes to you as a manufacturer.
Exactly. When the news broke, some of us were very surprised because first, what was the rationale behind this restriction? And perhaps in order to put it in context, the CBN did not ban the importation of these items, the 43 items. What they did in 2015 was to put a restriction on the importers of this item from exchanging their foreign exchange through the official window. And what that means is that for items that can be produced in Nigeria, such manufacturers should be encouraged. So we thought that was what the federal government was doing at the time. But here we are in 2023, just a few days back, the restriction was lifted, and we're just trying to understand what exactly is going on here. We are in an environment where we face a lot of challenges as manufacturers. And if you look at those items on the list, perhaps almost all the items on the list can be produced in Nigeria. So if the government is saying that there's so much pressure on the parallel market, I think the first question to answer is, do we have enough in the official market? Because I disagree with the notion that the importers of these items only approach the parallel market. Almost every manufacturer actually approach the parallel market because the FX is not available in the official through the official window. Having said that, we feel that the government is oblivious to all the challenges manufacturers are faced with. For example, we don't have power. Most of our members generate power by themselves. Okay, look at the cost of borrowing in Nigeria. Today, it hovers around 30%, or more. Infrastructure decadence, these problems are there. And of course, the unemployable workforce. So we are grappling with a lot of things. Like I said, not that the FX was available in the first place, but the fact that the government is coming at this time, saying that, oh, we are lifting this restriction. You want to ask, are we saying that manufacturers in Nigeria cannot produce items like the wheelbarrow, that our agricultural sector cannot, the poultry cannot produce chicken? We want to be importing meat. We want to be bringing in revenues. These are things that we have capacity to do. If it is discovered that the reason why we have inflation is because of the fact that enough of these products are not being produced in India, what can the government do to support the local manufacturer in Nigeria? I think that should be the focus. I don't want to believe by lifting this restriction will, reduce the disparity between the foreign exchange, the official window, and of course the parliament. I don't want to believe, because like I said, almost everybody actually goes to the private market to get their FX for whatever they want to import into the country. For years, some of us have not been able to get FX through the official window. So I don't think that this approach is beneficial to the real sector. I don't think it is beneficial to our economy.
A good way to really start this, putting it in context, Amos, thank you. In 2023, local manufacturers also made investments, to 2013, 2015, when this law was enacted, or when this restriction was instituted. So in putting money in your business is to actually grow it. So I'm asking, when this now happens and there's a flip-flop, what happens to the business? That monies are being borrowed to improve.
So that is the problem, because when we talk about policy somersault, I mean, just like you rightly said, we have some of our members who actually invested in backward integration because they felt, well, now that this policy is in place, then it makes sense to invest further. But with what has happened today, I think it speaks to one thing, the fact that investors' confidence will be reduced. Okay, it speaks to the fact that intending investor will not have confidence in the work environment, the business environment. And I think the government should begin to take a deep look. Yes, we know at this present time, there are problems, inflation, people are going through a whole lot. But you see, you don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. Maybe we have one or two items, two or more on that list that are of national importance. I don't know if there's any. Then that should be looked into critically. Not saying that all the 43 items on that list should be allowed to come into the country. Because those who have invested, what are they going to do with their investment? Because we know that imported products are relatively cheaper. Because in Nigeria, manufacturers don't really have any competitive advantage over those in other developed countries, okay? Even when you come closer to West Africa, to other African countries, we don't have any competitive advantage. At best, what we have is competitive parity, because something has to be an advantage if your competitors don't have it. And the little incentive that the government has provided, now it has been removed. So who again want to make investment? And manufacturing is not a small investment. It requires a lot. So we really want the government to look into this decision that they have taken and do what is necessary in the interest of the manufacturer, in the interest of the country at large. Because at the end of the day, I can tell you for free that a lot of manufacturing companies will shut down. And when they shut down, the aftermath effect will be job losses. That, of course, has other far-reaching effects, insecurity, and what have you. So I think the government should really look at what is the importance of removing this restriction at this time when manufacturers are going through a lot.
A big question there. And staying with local manufacturers, many will talk about backward integration at a time where we're talking about looking inwards and all that. How well are we also taking advantage of that at this time?
So like I said, when you talk about backward integration, there are several factors you have to consider. Okay, one of them, of course, is availability of FX, because you are going to bring in equipment, you need foreign exchange. In the last 5 years, some of us have not been able to get FX from the official window. Some of us have backlog, right? How do we defray those outstandings in foreign currency? Because this currency is not available through the official window. So everybody, of course, goes to the black market. So I don't think the drive for backward integration is there right now because of what has happened. If you produce an item and that item requires that you import a particular raw material, the next thing you want to think about is how do you go a bit backward, right? So that you can become more competitive. But like I said, it is not just that. There are other factors. Okay, our environment is not conducive. We all know that. We know that we have a lot of challenges. So that alone, it is not enough. Even if the foreign exchange is available, there are other considerations that manufacturers will take into consideration before they make that kind of investment decision. So I don't think right now the drive is there for any genuine manufacturer in Nigeria to go into backward integration.
We even saw some manufacturers leaving the country sometime last year. But what about consultation? Many would say there were supposed to be maybe meetings, roundtables, maybe with representatives of man, business community, private sector, organized private sector as it used to be. Before government takes this kind of important step. Did any of that happen? And what do you think government can do at this time to address this, to avoid the negatives?
I think that is even where the problem is. Lack of consultation. I can speak for Manufacturer Association of Nigeria that the manufacturer try our best to engage the government on some critical decisions. But when some of these decisions have been taken, manufacturers are not being consulted. Even when the 43 items, were put on the restriction list, there was no consultation. It was just that at the end of the day, we felt that, to a reasonable extent, the decision was in the interest of the manufacturers. But there were a couple of items also on that list that some manufacturers used at that time as their input raw material. Some of those manufacturers also were affected. Now the government is taking a decision to remove the entire items on that list without proper consultation. There was no consultation with the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria to even have an idea of what effect will this have on their businesses. There was no consultation.
That is not good enough. Let's now talk about capacity again, because some will look at, for example, the mining industry, lithium mining, and a company coming in to mine in the country. I want to ask you, do we have manufacturers that could have the capacity to also do this? Because some are saying that could also move FX away from our country.
I can tell you that, yes, but the thing is, like I said, the business environment is not very conducive. I believe the government is looking into what can be done, to instill that confidence in those upcoming or intending investors. But I tell you, it's actually the way to go. Take, for example, iron rod. I mean, we have all that we need to produce iron rod in Nigeria. We have what's it called? We have coal, we have limestone, we have iron. We have all that, all that is required. But it's a huge investment. It is a huge investment. We have one of our members, that of course has started the process of, producing lipids through iron, at the rest of the other input material. But we need a whole lot more. Ajaputa Steel is there. We need a whole lot more. All these companies must come, on stream. Going to other mining sector is also an advantage, and I'm happy to hear that now the government has decided that, okay, this raw materials, this mineral resource will not be extracted and be exported just like that, that there must be a value addition. And I think it's actually the way to go, because as a country, we have everything that we need, to sustain ourselves economically. But government has a whole lot to do in making that a reality.
There is also another discussion from another sentiment that I've heard that some might take advantage of this to even acquire FX from the CBN, and there might still be that scarcity even in the I and E window that the CBN thinks this will help address. Because some people can just import anything, since it's free, you just get the FX and you can bring in the product. So that might even affect those that are really invested in manufacturing. I don't know how that also comes to you.
I think it even goes beyond that. When I read the report on the restriction removal, I was just thinking in my mind that I hope the CBN has been able to dissect the root cause, of the problem affecting FX market. Some of us believe that, we have a lot of demands that are not genuine. In Nigerian today, people spend dollar. We all know that. These are things that should not be. Okay, in some other countries, if you receive an inflows into your account in foreign currency, if you don't convert it within a short period of time, automatically it is converted. Okay, so, and again, when people see such opportunities, they want to take advantage. When people know that if they buy dollar at, let's say, 1 naira and they can sell it at 2 naira, this you don't have to carry any responsibility. You don't have any overhead cost. So it's the easiest route for people to make money. And that is why it is thriving. That has been the case for years in this country. So we think the government should really look into all those areas. Genuine users, those who truly need foreign exchange, they are not getting it. That is just the truth. So as long as that opportunity is there for people to exploit, you can be rest assured they will exploit it. And that's what has been happening. So those who also claim that that is going to happen, of course, I agree with them that once people see that opportunity and there's no control around it that can checkmate such unscrupulous behavior, obviously, they will do it.
Finally, before I let you go, what will now be your outlook or what will be your advice again to government? Now, let me give you the opportunity now to give some point, because you meet with the manufacturers, you have your submissions, you put them together so you know where the shoe pinches. What will be the message to save the manufacturing industry? I know that the manufacturing industry can create the jobs that we need if they have the capacity.
I can tell you that every item on that list can be produced. As a matter of fact, are being produced in Nigeria. Now, if the government is saying that it is not adequate, I think what the government should be doing is what can they do to help the real sector, the manufacturing sector, the agricultural sector, to increase their output. That should be the focus. At this stage, we should not be talking about any policy that encourages importation of any product. We can't be talking of importing chicken, meat, wheelbarrow, nails, stick, wood, and stuff like that. We should be able to look inward. We should be able to look inward. This country has gone through a lot in the last couple of years. We should be able to look inward. What can be done to help local producer, local manufacturer? I think that is what the government should do. And I know they have a couple of interventions that are out there, even though some of them are yet to be implemented. Recently, the government announced a 75 billion for centralized manufacturer. I don't think that has been implemented. We're trying to follow up to see what the government is doing, as regards that. There are quite a number of things in power sector. And I'm a witness to the fact that certain efforts are actually being made, to ensure that, clusters, manufacturing, clusters have access to 24/7 electricity. So this is the kind of step we want the government to take, because at the end of the day, it is about country. We cannot be importing and be supporting other countries and be creating jobs in other countries. We have to create jobs in our own country, and the only way we can do it is to support the local manufacturers.
Mr. Lekan Adewoye, I must thank you so much for your time, Vice Chairman of Basic Metal Group, Manufacturer Association of Nigeria. We appreciate your contributions to the program. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.